Welcome back, guys. So, this is Ryan Harden. We're here with Prelicensing Me, and we're talking about developing your strategy. So, when you think about a strategy and how you beat the odds and get into one of these diversity programs, you really want to break down your strategy into a few more manageable pieces. So, the first is like understanding your desire, the second is understanding your capacity, and the last is understanding your odds. So, for the first one, when we're talking about your desire, what is it in finance that you're interested in? Did you explore other ideas? Are you interested in investment banking? Are you interested in being a sales representative? Are you interested in trading or being a structurer? Do you want to do equity research? Are you more interested in capital markets on the wealth management side? Do alternative investments interest you? So there's a lot of variation within finance, and you don't have to seek out a front office client facing role. There are lots of other jobs that are fantastic career paths that probably on a risk adjusted basis produce similar results. And so it's really just thinking about what are your skills, what are you interested, why are you interested, and how do you get there? When we're talking about how you get there, that's where this idea of capacity comes into play. If you want to be somebody who is able to develop authentic relationships, then you should expect somewhere between 10 to 20 hours of effective networking done a week. And what this may look like is you're going on LinkedIn, you're typing messages, you're running them through Grammarly or Hemingway to make sure that their writing is crisp. You're reaching out to these contacts, you're setting up times, you're proposing those times, you're following through, right? You have the call, you prepare for the call by asking questions, going to different forums, thinking about stuff. And then at the end of the call, you say thank you, you send a follow-up email, you ask if you could stay in touch, stuff like that. Or if the bank has events in person, I mentioned that I went to the Service Academy Career Conference in person, and that was really helpful. Every single event that the bank that I was interested in had, I went to. And it was really good because you build stronger, more authentic relationships with people. You're more interested in them. And eventually you get to the point where when you see these people, you're talking about anything but finance. And it's actually a lot of fun to get to that level. The very last thing is like understanding your odds. So I know for a lot of these programs, they have 400 to 500 applicants every year for somewhere between 5 to 15 spots, probably closer to 15 than 5. But you have to really think about, out of that large pool, who are the people that are really trying? Who are the people that sought out resume feedback? Who came prepared by getting their CFA done, for example. That would be a more extreme example, or somebody who completed an MBA. Basically, how do you straddle that humility aspect of just being somebody who's a silent but strong, confident person with, being a little bit more boastful in a respectful way, if that makes any sense. Like, you still have to get out your brand and what differentiates you and why you're amazing without sounding like, a little bit of somebody who you wouldn't want to hang around with, right? So on a big picture, it says 200 applicants. That's just an example, right, in the graphic. And it narrows all the way down to the people who get an offer. And we'll touch on this in a second. But on the big picture, success for anything in life, especially with a job, is very simple. You're going to want to, 1, get an interview, and then 2, pass the interview. It's as simple as that. The hard part is where you are implementing the right steps, where you're being consistent, where you're preparing. That's the hard part. And specifically, it's how will you get that interview? How will you pass the interview? What study tools are you using? Is there anything out there that you could rely upon that's really helpful? So those are just some ideas to think about, to chew on. And then you also, when you're thinking about this big picture, you need to decide on how many programs you want to pursue. There are a lot of different investment banks and financial institution firms that have veteran diversity programs. And of course, every one that you apply to increases your overall chances, right? Instead of having one shot and getting eliminated down the line, you have now multiple shots. But also, every extra one you take on multiplies the effort that it takes, right? So the contacts at Bank A and Bank B are different. So you're going to have to put in the same amount of networking effort for both of them. You have to prepare for different parts of the interview, run through mock interviews with people. And so there's a lot to it that's actually a little complicated. Now, going to the graphic, we have this 5-step thing, right? So you have the applicant pool as some number, let's say 500. How many pass the phone screen? How many know basic accounting? How many people know, and not just basic accounting, but the difference between, let's say, financial accounting and managerial accounting? What is a discounted cash flow? How do you value a company? Very simple questions. And so the people that ace that interview, that pool narrows down pretty quickly. And then, of course, there's often multiple other interviews or multiple other times when you can talk to people. And so you have to impress people constantly at every step. And you have to be very sharp, very polished, and very smart. And of course, humble. And then you eventually get an offer if all things go well. And that's really just a matter of effort and prioritization, because everybody can do it. It's not entirely difficult in some sense. The hardest part is just being consistent. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I did, because we're on the how of doing things topic, right? So we covered the why in the first 2 videos. Now we're covering the how, and then we'll cover the what types of opportunities in the next video. So for what I did specifically, I took a look at the different types of culture, and I realized that I would only be happy at UBS. So I made either the smart or really dumb decision to only apply there. Of course, at the end of the process, I found out that about 500 people applied for 11 spots. But kind of my thinking was I was going to apply for one program, and I was going to take it extremely seriously and just try to hit it out of the ballpark. I wanted to do everything that I needed to put myself in the strongest light possible. And I honestly didn't think I could do multiple at a time, which is why I recommend people to keep it under, let's say, 3. So I love the culture, quite simply. I like the people a lot. I thought they were really nice. I thought they were funny. And I thought I actually could see myself being happy working there, which I think is super important. And so about a year or so prior, I connected with 1 or 2 of the people at the bank, and they had been super helpful. And there was really no strategy. I just had seen them post in the career alumni chat, and I had reached out wanting to know more. But I was just genuinely interested. And I didn't even know, honestly, in the process that the people on the inside have any say in your decision. I just thought HR is the only one who decides, which was not accurate. And so I just took it very seriously when this summer rolled around, summer of 2022, and I studied a lot before every interview. I rehearsed technical questions and behavioral questions, and there's more information on that that'll be rolling out on my website. And then also I went to every single event that I was invited to, from the Service Academy Career Conference to the Veterans Day Parade, which was after the offer. But I basically never let up, and I still haven't, and I don't plan to, because, if you're very serious and intentional about being part of an organization, you really want to show up and be there. So I took this journey seriously, and here are some specific things I did that I thought differentiated myself pretty well. One of the first things that an Air Force Academy grad had recommended to me was finishing Wall Street Prep. And Wall Street Prep is somewhat expensive. It's about $500. And it's a tool where it teaches you, it's basically like an education technology company, where it teaches you how to model on Excel and the basics of accounting and what it's like to be a banker across various different parts of the divisions of the bank, etc. I also passed the Securities Industry Essentials exam prior to Super Day. This is a FINRA requirement if you want to work on the sell side at an investment bank, or at also a wealth manager, let's say as a financial advisor or however, you're going to have to take the Security Industry Essentials exam. And I also networked with about 20 different veterans across the bank, and I made sure that I knew their names, the stories, and positions not only to make myself seem like an insider, which is just an important point there, but this was a very educational experience for me. I didn't understand fully what it was to work in finance, especially on Wall Street. And I really just wanted to be sure that this was the right career move for me. So this is only like what I did. You can have your own approach. Again, what I'm doing is not biblical. It's not gospel, right? There's a million different ways to do something. But I do think if you show up, if you're genuinely interested, and you take this journey seriously, I think you'll have a good outcome, whether it takes you, 1 year or 2 years to get into a program. So we'll move on to the next section. Thank you.